Welcome to the Forward Ever podcast, where we highlight African immigrant leaders in New York and make visible the interest of Africans in New York's immigrant community. My name is Yata Kyuzolu, and you're hearing the sounds of Yakuba Sissoko. In this interview hosted by Blossom Maduafokwa, Omar Koita, a Bronxite activist and Gambian immigrant, shares his life experiences from his upbringing in the Gambia to his migration to the United States.
Hi everyone, my name is Blossom Maduafokwa. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'll be your host for today. I'm a university student, and I'm very interested in this project because I too am African, specifically coming from Nigeria. So just to situate everyone listening, it's March 21st, 2021 today, and it's a beautiful Sunday night. Today, the subject of our interview is a member of African Communities Together, who was kindly introduced by the wonderful Yata Kyuzolu, and his name is Omar Koita. So hi, Mr. Koita. Thank you for volunteering to speak with ACT, and thank you for also volunteering to speak with me specifically on this podcast. Could you please introduce yourself, just saying your name and your pronouns?
Good evening, Mrs. Blossom, and I'm happy to be on your show. I appreciate the offer, and I'm honored to be here. I will say thank you very much. First of all, my name is Omar Koita. I'm an immigrant from the Gambia, and I was born and raised in the Gambia. I came to the United States in September 1995. My life experience in New York, I would like to share some of it. Again, I'm honored to be on your show, and thank you. And I will be waiting for questions that will help you in regards to your interview. And the door is open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Koita. Okay, so you said you're from the Gambia. Very, very wonderful country. So which city were you born in? And then also, if it's different from the city you were raised in, tell us the city you were raised in. And then what's your tribe? Because I think that's important in conversations about Africa.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Blossom. I was born in the Gambia in a small village called Yolangel. I was raised in the capital, which is Banjul. And I was raised in the capital because my father was a businessman, and he was among those successful businessmen in the Gambia at the time. And when I was young, I was born and raised in the village, and my father has to move me from the village to the capital because he wanted me to go to school there and be by him. So at the age of, I would say 6, he moved me to the capital, and I started my primary school in the capital. And I have both experience in the rural setting and urban setting. And my tribe is Sarahule. They call it Sarahule, but in the ancient history of Africa, it's called the Soninka tribe.
Okay, thank you. So you talked a bit about your dad and having to move from your village to the capital. I guess that's also just part of your childhood. So just tell me a bit more about your childhood, anything you want to let people know in the podcast.
Well, there's nothing more special in African setting. As we all know, those that are grown up in the city and in the village level, there's nothing special. The special thing is you meet different people and you learn to understand the African culture in a context whereby there are some norms and rules that you go by. And I was lucky to learn some of those rules and norms in the African settings. When elders are talking as a young child, you have to keep quiet and you stay away from their conversation. And when elders are talking about things that can help you to shape your future, you have to be a listener.
That's true. That was also true for me growing up. But everything from your childhood, or considering everything from your childhood, even your teenage years, what was your favorite thing about growing up?
Well, my favorite thing was experiencing things about life in general. For example, when I was in school, when I was young, in my primary school age, we used to organize trips to go to like some of the urban areas in the close to the capital, because they wanted us to experience different settings to know what is going on the other part of the country. So I love those trips, and it made me being able to adapt, because those experiences have helped me when I grow up, to the point that I can live with every different individual, because it has taught me a lot. And also it was exciting for me at the younger age, because I had the chance to move out of my local area to see other parts of the country. And I love that. And it made me to feel like I'm learning something and it's going to be part of history. And when I was in school, I love history. History used to be something that I really love. And a part of that history, even when I was at my A level, I took history, government, and political, general paper that called General Wall. So it helped me to actually build a perception about things before I actually experienced them. So that was a good thing as growing up. I like to read also, and I like to play soccer at a young age. But after coming to the America, so I lose interest because I no longer have the time. And I like to socialize with my friends too, to sit down, have a tea, and talk about things, life in general. So those are some of the things that I was really interested in growing up.
It sounds like a nice childhood to me. You talked about, obviously, when you came to the US, you didn't have as much time to do a lot of the things that you like doing. But what pushed you to migrate to the US initially, and why New York specifically?
Well, it is interesting. My journey to the US was mainly for education at the time, because I was in school, I applied, and I was accepted. Then I came down, I didn't have enough funds, so I have to work for a year or so in New York for me to be able to make my journey over. So in that process, New York became an appealing city for me, because it's easy to travel around, and it was easy for me to meet different people from different backgrounds. And economic-wise also, it was more advantageous at the time. So that's the reason why New York, because I was hungry to be educated. I really wanted to go to school, and I really wanted to make that difference.
So what was the most shocking thing about the US for you when you first got here?
Well, there were a few shocking things. First of all, I arrived in the night around, I would say, 8 p.m. at the time, when I get to the Bronx, I was told that that was my destination. And when I get off the taxi, a guy came, not knowing that there were homeless people in the US. The guy asked me, "Can I get a quarter?" I said, "What is that?" He said, "That's 25 cents. I said, "Do people beg in America?" That was a shocking thing to me. And the second shocking thing was when I woke up in the next day, and the people that I live with, everybody disappeared. Almost they went to work. That was a shocking thing. So I was left home watching TV all day. Another shocking thing in New York was the fact that I was not prepared how to be able to make meals for myself, which is to cook. That was a shocking thing. In Africa, we think that was the job of the sisters or your mom or your wife. So I didn't know how to do those things. So I have to learn those things here. But it actually helped me to grow and gradually adapt. And I have to learn how to cook, even though it was shocking, but I learned to get over it. The homeless issue also, I learned to get over it. And being by myself, I learned to get over it as time goes.
Did you feel homesick?
Oh yeah, I feel homesick most of the time, I would say for almost a year.
So how did you end up finding friends and community in the US? Was it easy? Was it an easy process for you, or was it difficult?
Well, back then, it was a little bit different as we are today. 1995, when you talk about community, it was really, really tough at the time because there were not much Africans in the Bronx, or I didn't know where most Africans were. That was a major concern to me. And sometimes when I get in the train, when I see Africans, I feel like I want to go and greet them and say, hello, how are you? Where are you from? So at the time. But as time goes by, the first thing that helped me to actually start sense of community was the place that I work at the time. I happened to get two Senegalese people. They were working with me at that place. So I found them there. One was, I forgot the name, but they were really, really, the other one is Musa. Oh, the other one, I forgot the name, Hassan and Musa. They actually embraced me. And on the weekend when I'm off, I go to their homes. We play Senegalese music, we cook, we eat. We felt like we were a family because Gambia and Senegal is almost one country. And as time was going by, so I started having those people as a family. And the few Gambians that I know, when I'm off, I go find them. And eventually the community started growing a little bit. We started making friends. We even started forming organization, talking about how we're gonna help each other, how we can help each other to go to college, talk about our American dreams, talk about what things we can do to help ourselves here and other people back home. So it was a quite a good experience, and it's a touching experience at the time. And even today, I mean, it made me feel like, there is something positive about the African community.
So you felt like did you feel like after meeting them, the US felt more like home?
After meeting those two guys, and eventually they also have another friend that was going to school. So I started talking to that individual, which is Abdul. Abdul was going to BMCC at the time. So I started talking to him. I said, you know what, I came to the US, but I needed to go to school, and I'm supposed to go to Georgia to start school there. He said, no, don't worry, you can start here. I said, how? So he started talking to me, how I should go about, how to meet the international student advisor, how do I get myself together, to get all the necessary, process in place so that I can go to school, and which, with his help, was actually a boost to me, and I always remember him, and I always think him in my daily life. Anytime school issues come up, I remember him, and I'm always thankful to Abdul. He later graduated when I started with him for a year, and then he later graduated. He went to Baruch, and I was in BMCC. I later also finished the BMCC. I went to Baruch for a semester, then I went to a college in Long Island City called DeVry. Then that's where I graduated with my accounting degree. He was also doing accounting. It's interesting that we have something in common, me and Abdul. And then later on, I met some other Gambians. Another Gambian by the name Abdul was in Baruch also. He also was in BMCC. So when I met him, that's when I started mingling with more Gambians, because he also know other people. So we started forming a Gambian setting.
And so when along your path did you find ACT?
Okay, along the path, like I said, there is this small organizations that we were forming at the time called the Gambia Mutes. We were there one time. We had our independence celebration. Being that we were so excited about meeting people, how do we meet new friends? We organize small parties sometimes to do fundraising, because at the time we usually do a scholarship for a few people in Gambia to help them to get to school, because we know the life difficulties for those people that are willing and and not being able financially to support themselves, we were taking at least 3 to 4 students a year. With a collaboration of a nonprofit in England, they were doing the same thing. So we collaborate with them, and they will identify kids, and then we will send them the money. They will go and take care of those processes, and then they will go back to England, send us the transcripts, show us what is going on. We have our monthly meeting. When we have our monthly meeting with them, we will share those information with the members. And most people feel like we were being very productive, so we should continue this. In the process, we also learned that every year, 18th of February is our Gambian Independence Day. So we organize Gambian Independence Day. We invite, we make flyers, we talk to the community. People will come. We'll share information about Gambia, our independence, our people, culture, our tribes, and all that. And then we'll have some food, we'll play music, dance. And, it's the end of the day. We'll raise some money, and that money will go to the organization for the organization to carry out its functions. One fine independence, I think 2012, Amaha showed up on one of our independence meeting, and he was really excited, and I took down his number, and then he told me about ACT. So I said, well, I would like to join. So he told me when the meeting was going to happen. So I went there. From then, I became an ACT member. I was really active at the beginning, and I was really active towards the later part before the COVID. But unfortunately, because of my time schedule and family issues, I don't have that much leverage as in the past. So I do not go to meetings that often, but I do follow up their meetings, and I do follow up with the new developments, and I'm being informed through the social media that they have. And also members like Akinde, Amaha himself, and other people sometimes will call me and inform me about things that are going on. I'm really appreciative of them. They actually boost up my community sense because I see that they're doing more than what the Gambian community was doing at the time. And I felt like, I should be part of something that is making an impact.
So how would you basically say, from the beginning of when you came to the U.S. to now with the Gambian Community Organization and then also ACT, how would you say your position in the U.S. is in terms of community? How do you relate to your community now?
Well, I can always relate to my community because, first of all, I come from a big family, and my sense of community is always there. And I like to continue having that sense of community. And also, I'm a Muslim by birth. So God and my prophet always talk about community. Before you are strong, you need a sense of community to be strong. You need people to help you, because you come with nothing and you will go with nothing. Meaning, you cannot do anything when you die. People have to help you. When you come, when you were first born, somebody has to shower you. So basically, everything is about community. Whoever doesn't understand that, maybe they're missing something in life. So me especially, I think community is a great thing, and people should always be part of a community, regardless your religious background, regardless your social status, regardless of your gender. You should have a society that you belong to, and you will always be looking up to, whether you either give or you take from that society. And you should be both when you want to be more productive. You should give back, and you always take back.
So after everything you've done with all these community organizations, what changes would you like to see in the African immigrant community in the future?
What I would like to see more in the African community in general will be more productive, active organizations like ACT, because first of all, they're not only organizing. One, they organize, they help, they also guide, and they direct. They are also an organization. When people need them, they're out there for them. All these things I'm saying is based on my experience with them. I have situations where I have worked on projects for them that Africans were being detained, and I was there. They showed me how we can guide some of those people. They're being detained by the immigration, and some of them were released. And it's through an active organization like ACT that actually will step up to those plates and make sure things are done. That's one. When I say when you need to talk to people, when you need to feel like you're home, anytime you go to their meetings, you meet people, different backgrounds, different countries, but we're all Africans. You make new friends, and you are able to share your experience, and you are able to learn something from others. And you learn to be appreciative, because sometimes we are all busy working life. We don't even have people to talk to. The ones that are lucky to talk to the people, sometimes you are not talking to the right people. You are talking to the wrong people. When we act, you feel a sense of humor, feel like sense of home, meaning you are talking to your own kind. Like, I'm not being prejudiced, but that's the way I looked at it. But in the sense that when people come together, there's something that you will always have some people having in common. So ACT is one of those. When you walk in, we see those commonalities among the setting, and among the people in the settings. So those are issues that will make me feel ACT is the organization type that we need more and more like in the Bronx and all over the US, whereby immigrants will feel like they are welcome, whereby immigrants will feel like they can go tap into those resources and utilize them to the best within the framework of the law. So ACT is one of those. If we can organize our other African organizations like ACT to be more service oriented, meaning people can go and seek for information and grab those information and utilize it without being bombarded with false information that is out there, following these WhatsApp groups. Some of them are giving you wrong information, and some people are being in the wrong trap. And that's why a lot of African people in the community, some don't feel like they want to be part of any organization because there's a lot of bad messages out there.
I agree. ACT is doing a lot of good stuff in the community. What are your hopes for ACT and its future projects? I've heard of a few of them, but I think you would know more than me about what they have planned.
Well, you and I, we are all on the same boat. We all share the same information because ACT is one of those organizations that will share all the information that they're working on their general meeting. So you are not an exception, neither me. So basically, from my own understanding, and this is now something that I'm talking on behalf of ACT, I'm just talking as an individual based on my experience and what I've been seeing, observations. ACT is more like a service-oriented organizations, and they're willing to help every individual, including Africans. And their service is excellent. Their service is basically the common needs of the ordinary person on a daily basis, which is people with immigration issues, individuals with maybe economic reasons, for example, how do I find a job? How do I go about going back to school? What are the resources that I can tap into? And what are some of the things that I can do to better my life? These are the common things that African community is doing for all race, Latinos, Africans, and non-Africans in general, but more so of the African continent. And there's a lot of Africans that really need this. And some of them, they don't believe on it. Some of them, they believe on it. But me, personally, talking from experience, like I said, I have friends that had issues. They were able to straighten them up. Like in terms of detention centers, being detained, I run to them. They gave me that helping hand without asking for any in return. For example, one of my friends was detained. I helped him to get through the lawyers that I was using at the time. I didn't go to act directly, but they gave me the resources, meaning they gave me the information. After he was released, I was also helping him to get back to his normal life. And I will never forget that. And that is something that is always in my mind. And I will always share this experience with anyone that is in those same type of situation. And I'll always bring them back to our act to see if there is something that they can also give. And I'm very appreciative of that.
Thank you for sharing that. Act is wonderful. So just to wrap things up, we talked about the future of community and the future of ACT, but I just want to ask, what are your hopes for your own future?
My own future, I'm always optimistic in life. I'm hoping someday I will be able to also use the same experience that I had and one day be able to share it with other African immigrants in the diaspora here. Also, hopefully, if I made it to a retirement or I made it to an age whereby when I go back home, I'll be able to use some of their life experience to teach others that really need it. But I'm always hopeful. I'm thinking the future is always bright for me and everyone that is in the U.S. currently, because we have a new president and we have a new agenda for immigration. And I'm hoping that that agenda will continue to help other people to get their papers so that we can all work together and do the best things.
And we pray that your future is bright. We pray.
Thank you.
Of course. So that's actually the end of the interview. Unless I just want to ask if there's anything else you would like to add before we conclude.
Okay. I would like to say this to my fellow Africans and all immigrants in general, that America is a place when you have your priority sets, there is always room for you to be able to be who you want to be. And it's a tough place, and there's a lot of challenges ahead. And all you got to do is to have focus and have plans, and you will be able to achieve a lot. Sometimes we are all dreamers. All dreams never come true, but with hard work and dedication, the world is an open opportunity for you. So remain focused and don't give up in life. Even if you think you are the worst person on the earth, there is somebody who is more miserable than you. So with that in mind, never give up in anything that you want to do in life, especially when you want to be better. And for us, crossing that Atlantic, coming all the way here, it means a lot. That means you really need something. That's the reason why you came over. So don't be distracted. Don't be a person that is going to be lazy. So with that said, I think there is a green pasture for everyone. All we gotta do is to go out and fight for it. Nothing is free in life. You have to fight for it.
Thank you, Mr. Koita. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for all your contributions, and thank you to anyone who is listening currently.
Thanks for listening to the Forward Ever podcast. a collaboration between African Communities Together and Barnard College. To learn more about African Communities Together and the many ways you can support our mission, visit our website at africans.us or follow us on social media. Our social media handle on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is AfricansUS. Like, comment, and share. Forward ever, backwards never.